Very good morning, children. Children, in our last lecture, we were discussing about chapter number 1, that is the living world adaptation and classification. Yes, children. So, we had just finished with half part of the lesson, right, children? So, today we will do the next half of the lesson and complete the lesson, and after that, I will give you the notes. Okay, children? Now, we had seen about fishes. Yes, children? Okay. So, like fishes, frogs and ducks also have webbed toes. Children, what was the peculiarity? What was the characteristic feature of the fish? That it has gills and scales, right, children? Yes. And what is there in case of duck? Duck and frog both have webbed toes. Okay, and they can use their legs as oars. Children, why do you think that they have webbed toes? Since water flows off away the feathers of birds. Okay, webbed toes, slippery, smooth skin, and a triangular head help the frogs to swim easily through water. Okay, children, these characteristic features helps the frogs to swim easily in the water. Okay, children, they can live on land as well as in the water, so they are called as amphibians. Okay, children, and why is this so? This is so because they have ability to breathe through the skin in the water, and they also use nose and lungs on land. Okay, children. So they are called as amphibians. That is, they can live both in land as well as water. Okay. The typical colors of a frog's back help it to hide among the grasses. Okay, children. Yes. Next, we'll see about adaptation in forest and grassland animals. Children, in animals, we have three types of animals: herbivorous animals, carnivorous animals, and omnivorous animals. Children, are you all aware that what do you mean by herbivorous animals? Yes, the animals which feed only on grass, leaves of the trees, they are called as herbivorous animals. For example, goat, okay, sheep, cow, etc. These all are herbivorous animals. What do you all understand by the term carnivorous animals? Yes, children. Carnivorous animals means those animals that eat non-vegetarian food, means that eat other animals. Okay, for example, fox, wolf, lion, tiger, etc. Okay, and omnivorous animals means those who eat both. Okay, means veg also and non-veg also. Fine, children? Yes. Look, look into the books now. Carnivorous animals like wild dog, fox, tiger, and lion have strong legs to run fast and capture their prey. Okay, children, why they have strong legs? So that they can run fast and capture their prey. They have claws and their canine teeth are sharp and pointed, so that they can tear the flesh of animals and eat them. Okay, tigers have padded paws. This enables them to silently stalk their prey and capture it easily. They have padded paws. What is the use of that, children? The use of that is that whenever it sees a prey or its food, and whenever it walks to their directions, the prey cannot spot them, okay, and so it can kill them easily. Fine. The eyes of predatory carnivores are located in front of their head. Why is it so, children? This helps them to spot their prey from a long distance. Okay, children? Their eyes are right in front of their head because they can spot their prey from long distances. The eyes of herbivores are below the forehead on the either side of the head. This gives them wide angle vision, which helps them to protect from their enemies. Okay, children? Their eyes are differently located than carnivores. Okay, their legs are long and tapering with strong hooves, which enables them to run fast after taking long leaps. Their long and freely moving ears can receive sounds, means signals from long distances and different directions. Deer and black bucks have colors that merge with the surroundings. Children, you all know what is a chameleon? Yes. Sarda? Okay. What is the color of chameleon, children? It adapts that color on which it sits, right, children? Okay. Their teeth are strong for chewing tough plant material. Fine. Next, we will see about adaptation in desert animals. Children, when we say the word desert, what comes into your mind first? Yes, there is scarcity of water in the desert. Right, children? So, de- deserts are characterized by severe scarcity of water. Hence, desert animals have a thick skin to prevent the loss of water from the body. Okay? Their legs are long with flat and cushioned soles. The nostrils are protected by folds of skin. Nostrils means the inner part of the nose. Okay, children? So that inner part of the nose is protected by the folds of the skin. Even their eyelashes are long and thick. Okay, and what do the animals like rats, snakes, spiders they do? They live in the deep burrows during the daytime and are active at night. Why this is so, children? Since at night there is a bit cold than the day. Okay, children? Turn the page to page number 6. Now we'll see about the animals in the snowy regions. Children, when we say snowy region, the first thing that comes into the mind is what? Snow, that is ice, means it is a cold region, right? Now, here we can see animals like yak, polar bear, white fox, silver fox, mountain goat, Siberian husky dog, and snow leopard. Okay, children? A white or silver body color, long thick hair on the skin are the typical features of animals in the snowy regions. Children, why they have long thick hair on their skin? Since these hairs protect them from the cold weather of the region. Okay, children? Now we will see about aerial animals. Aerial animals in the sense Birds mean a aerial, in the sense what, children? Those animals or birds that fly in the air. Okay, they are called as aerial animals. The spindle shaped body of the birds minimizes the resistance of air while flying. With hollow bones, a body covering of the feathers, and modification of forelegs into the wings is adapted for flying. Okay, the body of insects is also light in weight, and it tapers at both the ends. They can fly with two pairs of the wings and also walk with six stick like legs. Bats can fly with the help of patagium, a thin fold of skin between their forelegs and hind legs. Okay, children? Now we'll see about reptiles. Lizard, snake, tortoise are all called as reptiles. Reptiles means crawling animals. Okay, children? They can't walk, so they crawl. Animals like house lizard, garden lizard, crocodile use their muscles for creeping. Similarly, they show adaptations in the skin, soles of the feet, color of the body, etc. For example, the house lizard and monitor lizards have clawed toes and thin soles, whereas the snakes have scaly skin. Okay, children? Next, see food in animals. As I have already mentioned, we can categorize animals into herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores, right, children? So just observe the special adaptation as I had discussed with you earlier. So I won't go in the detail of this. Okay, children? Then we'll see about blending with the surroundings. Children, can you all easily spot butterflies, lizards, or grasshoppers in our environment? Obviously, your answer is no, right, children? Because they get hidden among the grasses, parts of the plants like stem, leaves, flowers, etc. Right? Why is this so? Because they blend with their environment. Okay, changes that takes place in the various organs and life processes of organisms that enable to live, feed, reproduce, to perpetuate themselves and protect themselves from their enemies are all called as adaptation. Okay, children, but it is not a sudden process, it is a gradual and continuous process. Okay, children, now let us see about a scientist called as Darwin. Okay, Darwin is a scientist who discovered the theory of evolution. Let us see about this person, about this scientist, Charles Darwin. He was a biologist and he studied numerous types of plants and animals and suggested that only those organisms which are likely to survive can best adapt to themselves to a changing environment. And this is what is called as the survival of the fittest. This was the Darwin's first principle. Okay, children? And his second principle is called as the theory of natural selection, and it says that if an organism is born with a new beneficial characteristic and is able to survive, then this change is preserved in the next generation. This is what is called as natural selection. Okay, children? Now we'll see about classification of living organisms. Children, why do you think so that living organisms have to be classified? Yes, because it is because there are so many living organisms on our earth, right, children? And since there are many organisms. How can we differentiate between them? How can we name them? So for naming purpose and for identifying those animals, plants, and all the living organisms, we need to classify them. Okay, children? And this classification is known as hierarchy of classification. The other name for this is binomial nomenclature, and this was discovered by Carl Linnaeus. Okay, children, this nomenclature has two parts. The first part is genus, and the second part is species. And all organisms are identified on the basis of these two parts. Okay, children, let us take an example. All domestic cats in the world belong to the same species, means we all call them as cats only, right? But their genus is different. Okay, children? Yes. Now see the last part of the chapter. See, children, following are some of the common names and scientific names. First is dog. Dog in scientific name it is called as Canis lupus familiaris. Cow is called as Bos taurus. Hibiscus flower is called as Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Jawar is called as Sorghum bicolor. Okay, children. Now, just this is for your knowledge. 29th April is observed as World Frog Protection Day. Okay, and children, remember that killing or harming not only frogs or animals is prohibited by the Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, children. So, with this, we have come to an end of chapter number 1, and I'll provide you the notes. Okay, children. Thank you.